I can't hear you, bro. You probably on push to talk.
I know. I can't do that though when I'm using both hands to try to look like a little 12-year-old.
All right, so is your video recording, yeah?
Recording. I'm recording.
Bro, I still don't have a name for the show, man. Parlor cast, parlor show. Do you have any suggestions?
The Palladium. A Journey with Paula. You should have a really cheesy intro of like, remember do you know what the Magic School Bus is in America? Like, riding on the, it's like an educational kids show.
Yeah, it's
and it takes like a school bus goes like inside of like cells of the body and stuff.
Yeah.
You should have like you like riding on something with a really cheesy intro, like Journey with Paula, da, 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 like some like 70s kid show music, and you're like riding on some terrible CGI like on a train with like each player.
I need someone to make that for me then, bro. I don't think I could do that myself. Anyway, Jordan, nice to have you here, bro. Thank you for joining me as my first guest. I'm excited to chat to you. I wanted you as my first guest because I just thought you were perfect for it. We know each other super well. You're a legend in the game, mate. CSGO, streaming, esports overall. So a pleasure to have you here, bro.
Pleasure to be here, man. Good to see you. I miss you.
I miss you too, man. Bro, what's general life like for you at the moment with Rona in the US, in San Diego? Has it affected your life much?
I mean, a bit, I guess. Like, my current lifestyle is like streaming and stuff, and you living with my wife, and we like to like take the weekends or go to like a farmer's market and things like that. So like a lot of those little things, like they change. Some of the markets and stuff are closed, but yeah.
Seeing your mum, seeing your parents and your brother and stuff, your brothers.
Yeah, now we are. At first we weren't, but once everyone like multiple people got tested, just to be sure, like people that were going out in my family and like had to work at first had got tested, and then most people were just isolating themselves. So then we're like family gatherings, get barbecue or whatever. It's not like we're all like hugging every time. My mom tries to. I'm like, Mom, you're not supposed to do this. You're the oldest.
Yeah, dude, I miss my mum, bro. I haven't been able to see her since January. Hopefully can soon, but still undecided, mate. Anyway, dude, first things first. So we recorded this episode like a month or so ago, but there was an issue with the recording. But I'm kind of happy it messed up because it was kind of a good warm-up. I know we're going to have a sick chat, but most importantly, mate, since then, we found out you're going to be a dad, bro. That's insane. It's crazy news.
Yeah, a little baby boy due in March.
Yeah, little baby boy. Have you come up with names yet?
We have a couple. Yeah, it's funny because we had like started to like, if it was a girl or boy, we had come up with like a girl name potentially, and we had said it to somebody, and they like gave us like their opinion, which was like against that, and we're like, okay, we're not gonna say that. We're not gonna like tell people what our thoughts are on names anymore. Then until like we're just gonna hold them close. So yeah, we have a couple thought up.
Awesome, dude. What's it like knowing you're gonna be a dad? I can't imagine.
Dude, I know. Yeah, obviously there's some emotional moments. I've had some funny combos about it. It feels awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Like I could have when we talked about it, I was like, I could wait longer to have a kid or not, and then we randomly decided to. And we're like, no, actually, like it was on purpose. We're like, we want to, and part of the thought was like, I want to have kids before I'm too old, so that I could grow with them a bit and grow up with them. And it's not bashing on anyone who has kids super late or whatever, but because some people do that. Some people have like 65, 70-year-old parents when they're like 18.
Yeah,
just because it's not as a big deal for the dad or whatever, biologically speaking. But yeah, I'm excited, and I first heard the heartbeat and I found out it was a boy. I was laughing driving home in the car. I was like, this kid's gonna be way too fucking good at video games. We need to keep him off the computer. Like if he's around me, we need to keep his life balanced. I'm already like thinking about like how could you make the kid balanced and happy, and like you just so just excited.
I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but do you think you could have had a kid whilst you were still a professional CS player with the lifestyle and everything that it entails?
I mean, it depends, I guess, on the woman and what she, like, and maybe like her support system, I guess. Because if she have like family and people to take care of them, you could do it for sure. And
but it'd be tough, right?
Yeah, I know. Truth, she's like ready to like handle it. I know she's gonna be a great mom, but yeah, it would be tough for sure. I mean, especially the right initial stages, the first couple months when they're like they can barely even support their own head and stuff, and their spine is like, or their neck is really weak and things. You need to be watching them all the time.
Talking about CS, bro, obviously you're a legendary player. you've kind of taken a step back from the scene. Give us the rundown of what it was like to step away from CS. Because it's been some time now.
Yeah. At first, there's a little bit of bitterness. Everyone remembered when the C9 team broke up. Like, I was a little upset between results and the tension of the team and all that stuff between like Stewie and Automatic. They had their trio. They weren't sure if they were going to leave, and I was mad. We were all mad at each other. Everyone was kind of getting upset. So it was a little annoying to like step down in that sense. But like, I had gone through some bouts of wanting to step down. Like, you know how we talked about this last time with the travel, and you go through all the travel, no matter whether you're a presenter or a gamer or whatever. There's always moments in your head where like, what if I just like accepted less gigs, or in my case was like, what if I just like stepped down, and I had those thoughts. So this was an opportunity that I had moved in with Truth, and I was like, like I actually don't mind not having to show up for practice for a bit. And then what kind of happened is like, I had already streamed before, so I was fortunate enough to be able to like launch a stream and like have like a decent amount of viewers and like get some sponsors going. And so I did that. But
we can see them all behind you, Jordan, mate. I can see all just the cash money behind you.
No, not on this angle. Not on this angle. Maybe just the game.
I can see it from my webcam. I can cut that in. It's fine.
We have the game fuel fridge behind me. Yeah, and some other Intel. Shout out NVIDIA, whatever. Just kidding.
Yeah, carry on, mate. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, this is what it's all about. Shit, it doesn't matter. No, yeah, and so, yeah, stepping down, that's kind of, the thought process was like not exactly there. Like, it wasn't like I had some big plan. It was kind of like forced a little bit. And then I did start having teams hit me up. At the time, the NA teams like NRG, and I forget even who else at this point. A couple European team I played with Mouse Boys, and they were asking if I was interested in couple of situations like that. And so Ringing, you remember at the time, I think I remember telling you, like, I remember you messaging me like, you're playing in Brazil, bro, and all that stuff, like different stuff. You're like, let's go. And, like,
I was supporting hard, man. I was really excited for that, and I'm happy it went well. It's interesting the way that you sort of end up leaving Cloud9, because at the time it did seem that there was like some tension or just differences of opinion. You end up leaving the team, and you were still a viable player, right? And other teams saw that and they were looking to pick you up. But maybe, yeah, you weren't feeling like you wanted to commit to anyone, and then you did some standing in, and Brazil was like a massive success. And so it ended up being that after that, I don't know, did you feel like, okay, I still have this, but maybe I don't want to do it like professionally anymore?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. Like, so I got the same like excitement and butterflies right when I joined in the server in Mouse Sports. It's actually funny because like the first map, I felt like I hadn't played in years, and it only been I don't know, maybe it was even less than a year. And I remember we played like the Brazilian like FNX's like team at the time with KNG, like a first map of group stage. And I was like, ooh, like I was like feeling a little like, oh, I gotta like show up right now. I was commentating. I was on an analyst desk at event the week before, didn't warm up good, and so like I could tell like inside of me, I still was excited to play. And so I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to come down here for. Like, I wanted to ring and see and test myself and see how I felt about the game. And I was like, you know what? I knew that wasn't going to change. I always like competing. You see in my stream sometimes when like I'm playing against a good group of guys in Valorant even or whatever I'm playing, sometimes I'll get a little more firm with my comms, a little like sharper. And like
when you do that though, there's this Jordan thing that I don't think I've seen anyone else do, where you say a criticism firmly and fairly, and then you say, but I love you. After do you know what I'm referring to? You'll be like, yeah, you shouldn't have pushed there, like that was stupid, it lost us the round, but I still love you though. Do you know that you do that? I've seen you do that a few times.
Yeah, well, especially when I don't know people as well, or like I'm playing in like a lobby, I get because I can be kind of a dick in a sense sometimes, and like it's just because, but I also like when you play with like when I ring for the Mouse Sports guys, right, or any team on my Cloud9, these guys are like Rops, and these guys are so good at the game that whenever anyone in that level, especially, the better you are and you're getting on each other, it's like, come on, man. Like, it better be, like, neutral. And so if I ever go over the top with something like, fuck, man, why would you peek that? I want to reel it in and be like, by the way, don't worry about it. Let's get the next round, little fist bump or something. Like, I hated when there's the players who are like, oh, we fucking lost a round, and then they like don't look at you, and their body language is closed off, and their presence is like isolated from the team because they're annoyed that you lost. It's like, get over it, you know? And so like when I do that in a Valorant game and a match make, sometimes it's really bad because these kids aren't experienced gamers sometimes. So I'm like, oh man, you could have won the round by literally taking your hands off the keyboard. Shouldn't have done this and done this. So, anyways, this kid, bro, I love you. Don't worry about it. You know, like I'm just like, because in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I hope I don't just like break this kid's confidence right now by like leaning into him like this. Yeah, so that's probably where it comes from.
Yeah. I guess we went on a bit of a tangent there, but what I was mean to say is that I think the way that you ended up.
Yeah, you're gonna get that from me every time.
No, bro, it's great. What I meant is that I think the way that you end up stopping. Again, I always think you can jump back in CS, but for all intents and purposes, let's say right now you've stopped, you've quit, you've taken a break from CS. When you stopped playing, so after that, leaving C9, going in, doing a couple of stand-ins, and with that great result with Mouse Sports, it's kind of like a nice way to do it because you didn't like get dropped and then not have any options and then feel forced to do something else. You and the original that Cloud9 roster you were on, you went your separate ways, and then you had a very successful period standing in, and you could have carried on, you could have jumped on some other team, but I think you made an active choice not to, and I think that's nice. I think I assume it was probably quite satisfying or fulfilling to know that you could still do it, but you kind of chose not to.
Yeah, I guess that's why I brought up like the sponsors and stuff, is because I felt fortunate enough. I've had a lot of my peers and friends who like get off a team and then they're like, shit, when am I on the next team? Because you want a salary and you want to make sure, even if you have a bunch of savings, you still want to make sure you're like bringing in income over that. And then it's like, okay, even if I'm not sure what team I want to join, I definitely don't want to go get another job right now because then I'm fully like out of the loop on the gaming thing. So I felt super fortunate, like you're saying, to be able to like make that decision and not feel super pressured.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mention about if a player's dropped from a team and then the position that puts them in, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't really know or kind of can sympathize with, because yeah, it's a massive loss of security, right? And
well, this is why they say make a brand, right? Because some players will get dropped and the org will say, hey, like Cloud9 offered me to stay and like give me a streamer salary and like some bonuses like that for streaming. But yeah, no, for a lot of people, that's why we like to talk about build the like extracurriculars.
I think also this leads us on to what's been a hot topic since Valorant came out about certain CS players switching to Valorant, because I think it's great. Like people like Scream, Pit, Mixwell, who were successful CS players, but maybe for some time weren't getting a look into the teams they wanted to or being picked up so that they could make it a career, have now switched over. Same with a lot of your NA players, people like Hazed, and the rest. I could list off a bunch of names, Relics, etc. All these people, like it's given them an opportunity to use their skills, do something they're passionate about, and again make it a career, as opposed to being dropped from CS and then just being in the wilderness. Like, because someone like Pitt, for example, he was in the wilderness of CS teams for a long time. He had a good run with some different teams and everybody knew he was always good. But then when those teams didn't work out for whatever reason or he left, he was nowhere to be seen for a long time. I don't know if I want to say a year or a couple years. And then Valorant comes out, gives people like him an opportunity to be pro and to get that security again and to apply their skills. Do you get what I mean? Yeah,
no, totally. And I even saw like Sick from Sentinels like sharing that same tweet the other day. I don't know if you saw that, where he was like kind of breaking down like, you know, some players are coming for the money, but you can't like say they're all coming for the money, because like some guys didn't, like you're saying, they didn't always have like a good consistent rep in the CS scene where like teams were going to come for their role or whatever and want to recruit them constantly. So they didn't know that they're going to be on a team if they got dropped. There is like the middle ground person who just like was trying to make it, but they're like, I just really want to compete. There's the person who like me for CS, like I thought about competing in Valorant recently just because it would be less strenuous than being on a CS team. And there's like that approach too. So don't exactly know where I was going with that. I guess it's just that it's cool with that.
No, exactly. No, you referenced what Sick mentioned and other players have spoken about, because there have been interesting opinions shared online by sort of fans or viewers that don't really understand the reality of what it's like to do these things as a career. And if a player's dropped or doesn't have an opportunity in the game that they're in, if they have an opportunity to move sideways into something that gives them opportunities, how can you criticize that? I think that's great. Do you know what? Like, I think that's awesome.
It's such an awesome job, but there's, like you're saying, there's not always a lot of security in it for everybody. So yeah, some people might want to jump and it maybe allows them to stay at home more or whatever. That, like my situation when I was talking about it, or maybe they.
You should talk a bit more. We should talk a bit more about that. About what the lifestyle of being a professional esports player is like, especially when you're heavy in the circuit, and you're traveling a lot, and the stresses of practice, and because I think some people have a general idea. The vast majority of people think, oh, what? You get to play video games for a living? Your life's easy, mate, when that's just not the case.
Well, okay, so, I mean, I actually feel like it's been talked about a lot, and I think, like, I always start by saying, like, no, I never, like, regret anything, and it's always super sick, right? Like, it was mostly sick, but, like anyone out here who's watching this podcast right now, it's not like I'm just like, oh, woe is me, like, everything was terrible, but, like, it's just, like, anything, right? When you job, you complain about some of your coworkers. Well, you start getting, when your name gets bigger, you have more expectations to perform. Again, an honor. It's an honor to be expected to perform. It's an honor to have fans. It's an honor to have all these things. But it brings an inherent stress. I felt like I was someone who handled it better than a lot of players, where I didn't like let it overwhelm me always. But yeah, you have a crap ton of people talking about you on the forums. You have a crap ton of people caring about this. You're pretty much your whole day through dinner is practice hours most days of the week. You start from when you wake up, prepping for practice to make sure you're in a good state. You warm up, etc. Dry run, review, practice, scrimmage, review, cool down, chat. And it's 8 p.m. at best. If it's boot camp, you're deeper. And then if you're in the prime of summer and tournament season, you're not home basically the whole summer. And you're traveling, and it's so much fun at so many stops. But yeah, like if you like, I did it for fucking 12 years, right? And I never regretted anything. But at a certain point, like when I got benched from C9, I was like, oh, I'm down for a break. And there's a lot of players who are on their team. Maybe they don't know how to handle the personalities. So you're traveling around the world with pressure to perform, hoping to do better, and your teammates maybe are annoying, and not just annoying, but you guys really don't like each other. And then it causes a pressure on how the management perceives you and affects your pay, maybe. And there's like, or maybe it affects the fans, and then you play bad, and then you're getting shit on by the fans, and then you're getting death threats about betting, and then you don't really care. You don't really care about the betting, and you start ignoring it. But then like other people's opinions start chiming in, and even then, like I said, I think like if you have a good mindset, like a lot of that stuff, I had such a long rise that I was like, okay, well, like people have been saying shit to me since I was 14. So like, whatever, like that's always going to happen. So it didn't affect me as much. So I guess from a perspective of a stressful lifestyle, yeah, it's a lot of hours. And if you're not into it, it starts sucking. You're like, you have to show up and play a game, and you're like, what? Oh, I don't want to play it today. Some days it turns into that.
I think it's important to highlight that you just mentioned like, I don't know, 10, 15 different factors, lots of different things. And there are many others as well that become part of what's a very complex life that you live as an esports player or talent or whatever. And you just mention them like snap, snap, snap. But in reality, each of those things for you in the moment is quite a big deal. Like, for instance, and like you said, it's a lot of fun traveling and seeing your friends and going to these different countries. But it also takes
freestyling on the rooftops.
But it also takes a massive mental and physical strain traveling. It's just how it is as humans, more often than not. A lot
of airport time.
Yeah, and being away, not having a proper routine. So I think it to anybody listening, when Jordan lists off these little things that just sound like a soundbite, each of those things is important and shouldn't be overlooked, and they can add up and they can take a toll. And so, yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about, right? Eventually you just realize maybe you want to try something different for a bit. You wanted to take a step back when everything happened with the teams as they did.
I think the biggest things for me too was just like the combination of like, well, first of all, when you're pro at something, it's a very one-dimensional lifestyle, right? You're just trying to be very good at one thing. And it's after so many years, it's like, I wanted to try other things to have time for other things. And that's the second part of it. Is if my schedule every day, and it's getting better, was like, 9 to 5, then I could maybe have dinner with my wife and like do the normal. But it's like, it gets so tiring that like when you're on the road, I would actually get used to traveling kind of tunnel vision. You know how it is. You travel a lot. You kind of just put your head down. You get used to it, almost like easy.
It becomes
cake.
this
Airports,
like just non-stop
airports
motion,
come a blur.
right?
You throw on the headset. You got the phone. You got maybe a book or a show. Boom, boom, boom. You're in another country. You're here, whatever. But then you get home and then you start missing dinner with your family, and then you can't hang out with anybody. And then I have a practice, and then I do that, and like it really just sucks because you just feel like forcibly cut off from like most like things you could do with people. And like I said, I never regret it, and I always knew that, and I was always pretty stoked. And I would hang out with friends like late night because I knew I could, and so I had a great time with it. But yeah, that was for me kind of the build up of being like, I'm down to control my own schedule for a bit, and now I haven't really looked back.
You mentioned that it's one-dimensional. Of course it's complex and there are a lot of different things going on, but I think it's a good way of describing it is that you, with this type of career, and same on the talent side of things, you can get caught up in this. For me, it kind of felt like with my own stuff, it felt like from the end of 2012 when I started making YouTube videos to when I took a break from making YouTube videos at the end of 2017, and now include all the travel and other things as well. And when you're so hyper-focused on one thing, yeah, you just get caught in this forward momentum. Yeah, amazing, love it, wouldn't change a thing. But, oh yeah, I want to bang out these videos, and then I'm going to go to this event. And it just becomes this cycle of where you're not really thinking too much. You're just going with it. Like you said, one dimensional, you're on a plane, boom, then you get home, make the video.
Yeah, being places is a blast. I love, being in new places is a blast. And if you can get used to putting your head down for the travel, it can get pretty chill.
Yeah, what I mean is that I think the way you describe it as 1D is interesting and pretty accurate. When you have a hyper focus on a specific thing, for instance, for you it was being the best player you can be, and then for someone like myself, it's making the best videos and doing the best performances at events. And then it's kind of like everything around it starts becoming a bit blurred. And yeah, you start missing the relationships with different people and normal stuff. Like you probably didn't have much time to play golf here and there, something that I know that you love. You didn't get a chance to spend proper time, quality time with your then girlfriend, now wife, your family, things like that. And it can become like, you look back at the time now and you're kind of like, wow, I did a lot, but like, it's all a bit blurry. Do you know what I mean? And there wasn't too much balance with it all.
Yeah, and when you're feeling fulfillment from like your results and everything like that, normally is what the payoff is, and that's why we didn't like.
Or when those results don't come though, that's when.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I had gone like, that's why I said like once CS:GO hit, I heard you went through like so many roller coasters in 1.6 that like I had a lot more experience with being like, whoa, this was kind of a melancholy time. And like, that's when like all the teammates, so many of the young guns, we should probably change roster. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like everyone just starts freaking out, and it's like, it's going to be okay. Just like, stick with it a little longer. But yeah, in every form. Yeah.
That's really good. If you could detach yourself from the result side of things, because of course you're still going to be results oriented.
Yeah.
You need to win.
Our goal is to be number one, but if we don't get there, how do you like improve without like hating yourself?
Yeah, because I know you said that you were able to detach yourself from it, but bro, like if you're being completely honest, there are always times for all of us where you don't meet your goals, and it's like, fuck,
I almost broke my hand. And, like, I think 2016, I almost like broke my hand punching the wall, like. So it's like there's definitely emotion will come out.
How did that happen?
I think just like some tournament qualify. I think the team situation was just pissing me off so much, and then like I was trying so hard to like be zoned in on like winning that like I didn't have like a good performance map. I think it might have been even Brazil when we won or something as a season 4 or something. We were just like putting so much pressure on ourselves, and I was just like had a bad map or something. And I think it was like the team got used to just like me being nice, so like everyone was having a bad time, so I kept like hearing everyone's like complaints, and then I was just trying to focus, and I got so fed up with like, hey, everyone, handle your own fucking selves. I'm getting like just like maybe I felt like a mediator, which I actually appreciate the role, but at the time I remember I was like, I had to let it out a little. I was like, luckily the wall wasn't cement or anything, it was stage wall or something. Builds up. And like you said, it results for whatever, whether it's video views and content and winning, you get tied to it. And that's like, those are the things that where people like, that's why there's always a guy, I could just hear the guy in the comments in Twitch chat, you play Vulcan games for a living, like, shut up. Like, it's like, yeah, listen, I know, like, relax. Like, it's like,
but this is the thing,
it's not like I just live to complain,
But bro, this is what's interesting, right? Man, it's a hard topic to talk about, like, and describe. But for all intents and purposes, someone like yourself, other players, talent in the industry, someone like myself, we had a dream at one point. You suddenly realized I want to be a pro player, and you made it happen. I was like, I started making videos. Like, I want to make this a career. Made it happen, and started presenting and stuff as well. And I think it's sometimes misconstrued by people that if you make your career something that you enjoy. But what's that phrase that people say? Find a job you enjoy, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Oh, bro, that's fucking bullshit, mate. It's just not true at all. If anything, you work harder, you put more... No, I don't want to compare it to anything else, but no, that's just not true. You work super hard, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, you hold everything to such a high level of scrutiny, do you know what I mean?
And that's up to someone like you, and it's like, maybe if you're like, you're a genius and you don't have to try and you like everything just works for you or something. I don't even know, but like someone like you who really wants to put out performance, for someone like me who didn't want to just accept being like, not as good as I could be. But maybe like you said, the times when it feels like easy and blissful is when everything is just like back to back, like everything's popping off and trending upward. You're like, it does feel very light. You feel very light on your feet because you're kind of just like in the flow and everything's working. Those days definitely feel great. But that's even if you're not in like your dream career, right? Like if your boss gives you a promo, you did a good project and a good presentation, whatever the job may be. Well, so like for me, when I started playing Counter-Strike, you don't know that you're going to be, like you said, at a certain point, I decided like, oh, I'm going to be like, I think I want to go pro. Mine was like when I started seeing that pros were even a thing, I thought it was cool. I just wanted to get better, but I was still like 13 or whatever I was, or 12. So I like, I came up through all the LAN centers we've talked about and all that.
In the last time that me and Jordan recorded this, we spoke about how he became a pro player. We probably spent way too long talking about, but a hashed version, Jordan, right, is that you got into CS through your brothers, you started going to LANs, and then you started...
11 local LAN centers bouncing around, joined a local LAN center team. Weren't very good, got crushed, but played some sick teams up in LA, and then like realized, oh, that's like the best, like the regionalized offer, and then I eventually got on a regional team just by like kind of chipping away at the community. And it's hard to do that nowadays. People always ask how to join teams, but yeah. So that's kind of how that started. And then I realized, about the pro scene. And, but so I guess for a while it was at first like that kind of job we're saying, like where it's like, it was like something I enjoyed doing because I was just doing it every day, all day. That's why I said like, if Twitch was out back then when I was that young, holy fuck, I would have been like, I'd have probably like multiple million followers already. Cause I was on the computer 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. We were just grinding the game in. And so once we got sponsored, my first salary, whatever that was, or I got like a laptop for free and something else, I was like, what? Like, just like, so that's definitely like find a job you can love kind of thing and never work a day in your life. That's how it felt for a while for sure, but it doesn't stay like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's absolutely true to an extent, but it's not absolutely true all the time, which I think is important. And for instance, for yourself, like being a pro player, seeing that being a pro player was an option, then making it a reality. You make your dream come true. Oh, I'm never gonna have to work a day in my life. And then the truth is, it comes with all of its own stresses and difficulties.
Yeah, a shame. So you probably were making fun skits at first and like, this is the best thing ever. I'm never gonna feel like I'm gonna make videos till I'm 50, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck.
Yeah, to an extent, man. Like, I mean, still get those. Like, it's even now, especially coming back to most YouTubers when they take a break, they don't come back, or if they quit, they never come back. And most when they do, they don't try and do it properly again, structured, etc. And so even for me now, coming back, trying to do it again, it's hard, it's stressful, it's difficult. I know there's going to have to be a lot of work and a lot of time, etc. to build things up. But and so then on the other side of things, when things were originally blowing up for me, bro, every day it feels like you're on the best drugs in the world. Every video is getting tens of thousands, if not over like 100,000 views. Any type of content you make, it pop in. You go to like, you've got constant events going on. It's just like
meeting new people.
Yeah, meeting new people, traveling the world. And then, and that never gets, those things never become bad, but it's there are parts of those things that end up becoming stressful. Like if your views drop a bit, if you start realizing you're super burnt out from making 5 to 7 videos a week whilst traveling 2 weeks of every month,
you feel like
things like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
feel like the growth slows, and you need to get out of like the bubble to grow it more. But then that causes a lot of change, and or you would need to go through a lot of change to like get a new thing. And you're like, I don't want to go start. And you got really, because you were in Call of Duty, right? You did Call of Duty related stuff, and then you kind of became part of the CS community after that.
Yeah, for me, with my YouTube stuff, I always wanted to make gaming content. I didn't have a capture card at the time. And then I started recording Call of Duty stuff when I got a capture card. But I'd always played CS. I played CS from 2004 when Half-Life 2 came out. I played CS Source. And at the time, at the end of 2012, during 2013, I didn't know that CS had become a big thing with like 1.6 and that there were big tournaments and stuff. And then, of course, like end of 2013, going into 2014, CSGO started to become prominent again. And whereas when it was released in 2012, the game was just uninteresting. It was not in a good state. Like I played at the time, I was just like not into it. And then I must have been on Twitch and I just saw CSGO streaming, and I was like, yo, this CS is looking sick again. That's when I got back into CS, so to speak, and started making content around it too on my channel. Start going to events, speak to people and whatnot.
Yeah, flashbacks of freestyling in the stairs.
Yeah, mate.
Overhear the video and it's an interesting journey, especially it's funny too now to see like when new people come in, like where they like the state of things when they come in, like whether it's a host or streamer YouTuber is kind of tough, because it's like if you start flat online, it's really hard nowadays if you don't have like anything else going for you. But like obviously, like, I wasn't just a streamer, I was a pro gamer, but it's so crazy nowadays when kids start at like 14 and are nasty at like the game, or they're good at making YouTube videos and they grow so fast, and like their expectations are so wild now. Like it's just like, oh, I'm not getting
it's
like,
crazy,
this many views
dude.
or this much sponsors already, and I'm like, you're 15.
Yeah, I think that's really.
And how long it took us, to get traction.
It's so different to even, for instance, like myself, who started getting into these things at the end of 2012, which at the time was considered late in terms of starting making stuff on YouTube. Like when I started doing presenting work in esports in 2015 with CS, like I'm not like an OG of the scene. You're like an OG, and you're like the generation before me, so to speak. But then there are even people like before yourself. And it's like, it's funny when you see how the context of people's expectations has changed with the times. So I think what you're saying is absolutely true. Like, yeah, there are the kids these days and they think like maybe they're a sick player and therefore they should be getting a bunch of salary, or they're a content creator and everything should happen overnight, etc. When that's not how it is, man. It's just not the case. It's funny, right? Talking about that, C9, so with their current roster, they just announced they're re-signing Floppy, who was playing for them before, right? One of the, I think so. But they're signing.
On their Valorant, wasn't he on their Valorant team for a bit or something? Or?
I'm not sure, but Floppy, C9 is signing him, and he's getting $450,000 contract over 3 years, and people are like, only $450,000 because Alex and the other players are getting like $1 million plus, and because expectations are so skewed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, bro, that is like a serious contract. Also, on a team that's yet to prove themselves.
Not including winnings. Or
not including winnings, any of this stuff, bro. That, do you know, like, that's a bad man's salary, bro. And it's just funny how, yeah, like people's perceptions are so skewed based on the context of the time you're in.
Yeah.
Imagine you were 18, it's your first like big contract.
And I'm like, I'm not getting 15 grand a month for my first or whatever, 20 or whatever. Yeah. Fuck, what the hell? Dude. Yeah. I think I got like $500 for my first contract.
$500 a month? You must have felt like a baller at the time though. How old were you?
Yeah, because I was getting free gear, like 17 or 18.
Yeah. Talking about free gear, man, I have to mention this. Turn your, well, I think it, the Shroudy gear. Bro, what's it been like for you? How do we even start with this, man?
Because about Mikey?
Yeah, because you're a legend in your own right. You've smashed it in everything you do. But you've seen one of your ex-teammates and one of your, I assume, close friends from the scene go from being like a pretty like sick, like a top tier sick CS player, pro player with like a reasonably sized stream to literally going to becoming a top 5 streamer in the world, top 3. I don't know the exact numbers, but literally like one of the most well-known personalities in streaming and stuff. It's even weird for me as someone that doesn't know Mike well. We met at a few events, like obviously followed each other on social media, had some conversations. When I knew Mike, which was probably like, I guess 2015, 2016, we'd just speak here and there. He was a quiet dude, very unassuming, nice, friendly, confident, but just like a chilled, laid-back guy. And then he stopped playing CS and he just blew up, man, hugely. So and it's so funny for me to see that. And I'm like essentially still a person on the outside of his life. But what's it like for you, bro? Like, can you give us a timeline of it at all? Considering that you were playing on a team and then afterwards everything popped off.
Yeah, it's really cool because like you saw it even before he joined our team. Right? He was getting after the stream and like. So, like, on the inside, like, he said this before, but, like, we knew right away, like, Summit was, like, someone he really looked up to. And so, like, he started streaming because of Summit, I think. And then he literally looked up to him, and he started streaming, and he streamed for a while, like, 5-10 viewers. But I remember started playing against him. I think he played on a team like Manajuma. Boom, he had, like, 80 viewers, right? And then he started getting more recognition and maybe, like, 100 to 200 viewers sometimes. Then he joined our team and started getting, like, 400 or 500 viewers. And I remember, like, he just was a beast, dude. Like, he would just, like, stream for 12 hours and then come to practice. And then a lot of times he wasn't going to sleep to go to practice, which was fine at first on the team. So he would stay up all night. He would stream from like, he'd wake up at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. when we had practice. Because back then the practice schedule wasn't as rigid. Guy would stream all freaking night, practice. And then eventually when we were on Cloud 9, it started becoming a problem. Like, yo, dude, you need to like tidy this up a little bit. Like, we're going to start practicing like at like the middle of the day. So you can't, he would be fucked, right? Because 1 p.m. Pacific is like 4 p.m. his time. Like, you need to at least wake up by like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Because he was waking up at 6 or 7 p.m. And that's when we'd start practice. Insane. So anyways, long story short, he was always grinding the stream, always getting after. Like, you knew Mikey, like, even if he was getting zero salary or anything from anything, he would just probably be grinding the stream, which makes the whole context of the story awesome, right? So then we go to ESL Cologne. It was our first event. And actually, he told the story to stream one time. I remember talking to him in a room, and he like fanboyed me a little when we were in the hotel room. And I was like, fuck yeah, Mikey. I was like, dude, I was like, you know. And I was like, I'm going to take credit for your success, Mikey. I'm just kidding. But I told him, I was like, if you just keep streaming and like doing what you're doing, you'll probably be bigger than all of us. He's like, yeah, well, I don't know, dude. There's no way. He's like, you guys been around for so long. And I remember he cited this on a stream recently.
And this was like the first time you met in person because he was fanboying you in person. But you were on a team.
We had met maybe one time in like Texas, but yeah, we were online.
But it was the first time that you had met when you were on the same team.
Yeah, so we went to boot camp in Cologne. Me and him shared a room because I was like the veteran team. I was like, all right, we're gonna bring the rookie and he needs to stay with Jordan. And I even showed him how to get free hotel breakfast. I was like showing him all the little ropes. I was like, look, you just put someone else's name and room number down, and then they charge it to their room. And I was like, and Mike's like, what? It really works? And I was getting Mike dialed in. I was getting Mike dialed into the travel life, and yeah. Anyway, so like the good thing, the reason I like to say that story, but like, is like Mikey would have always just been streaming regardless. And then, yeah, when he kind of was in my situation where I think he was like getting burnt out from just like not having control of his schedule, and he wanted to go full-time stream. It kind of just worked out to where like the team wanted to make a change anyways, and they could get 2 players.
Bro, at the time, it was like a perfect storm. I remember
he even kept convincing himself that he thought he should compete because like the community pressure, like being a full-time streamer is like a cop out or something. Yeah. And like, you remember this HyperX video where like you hit each other on the head with depending on what their answer is, like yes or no. Like, did they get the correct answer? Your teammate bats you on the head. And the question was like, should Mike be a pro player or streamer? And Mike said pro player, and I hit him on the head with the hammer. I'm like, you dumbass. And so like I showed him that clip. I was like, you see, look, now you owe me 10%, motherfucker.
No, I remember at the time it was like a perfect storm. You can never be certain of these things, but when I saw that he was leaving C9 or was getting ejected from the team, and that you could see that he was about to pivot to being a full-time streamer. And I remember at the time, I could see the traction of him saying these different things and like the traction that they were getting,
The hype of him, like everyone
bro.
liked
And
the
I was
stream on
like,
it.
I know, I knew, I was like, bro, he is about to like go next level as soon as he starts going full time post team.
Everyone loved,
And
like, he was like king of Reddit, at the time. Like everyone,
yeah,
every time he did a match make, even he would get
yeah.
the kid, like, he actually played. He pissed me off with the way he played because he'd always be trying to hit the nuttiest flick, crack, hold the tightest angle. I'm like, Mike, hold wide. Even on our team, it started bleeding into practice. That's, and I'd have to tell Mike, hold a fucking wide angle. Like, you're sitting here holding a crevice trying to hit like the most insane reaction time I've ever seen, because he could. The guy hit the crazier shots than I've ever seen, like, out of a teammate. Like, we'd be at the team house. That's why all those shroud cheat aim hack videos. I'm like, I would fucking believe it if I didn't sit next to this kid with his robotic ass broken looking arm, just like great dude, just insane shots. Like, you wouldn't even see him. Like, shots would break people's jaw, just like. And but he would always try to hit these. I'm like, Mike, just not 80%. Like,
But he was doing that because he wanted to hit the shots. He wasn't doing that to try to get clicks.
Because he could.
Yeah.
No, exactly. He could. And he got stuck in this television. So like when he would stream and kids don't have as good as movement and maybe they don't play angles as smart as a pro, he just annihilates kids, and he would have the King of Reddit stuff. And we loved it. We would always watch it. And I think that was part of the perfect storm, right? It's like the King of Reddit was like quitting to like bring more content.
Yeah.
And then he started like playing PUBG, and this new community was hype. And I think that was part of it. Like, he's like, I got 1,000 subscribers a day. He like quit. He's like, holy shit. And then it jumped to like 5K subs and then 10K subs. And he was just, the kid's a beast with hours too. He was pumping out like 24-hour streams, 18-hour, 15. Every day was like minimum 11, 11, 12, 11, 12. Like, just like you didn't take, it wasn't like he got lucky necessarily. Like, he got lucky in a way that like only like, not everyone's going to get viewership even if they put in hours, but there was no doubt he was like crushing the fucking content hours.
So I assume these days you guys are still good friends, in contact, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have that with a lot of?
We went. We haven't seen each other much in COVID, but we had a fun little barbecue like right when COVID was about to start, when we found out about it.
Do you have that with a lot of your teammate, like your old teammates? Like, I know you're still relatively friendly with Ryan. Like, at least when I see you guys together, we hang out. Fucking shout out Ryan, love that guy.
Yeah. For sure. I mean,
anyone at
most of them.
people like that, Stewie or whatever.
Yeah. Stewie, it's funny because everyone thought we like hate each other from our team, but no, Stu's come down to my place a couple times. Sean, me and him played Valorant probably the most together. Totozo, yeah, exactly. Stu, shout out to Totozo. No one's gonna know what we're talking about. Except for a few Brazilians. We have Sean and I play like Valorant the most together because we're always solo queuing around the same hours of the stream. And some of the other teammates, even like Spencer and like Semphis, Shazam.
Hiko's killing it,
Brax.
Bro. Hiko's
that was another.
No, because
he actually pissed me off because I was hosting him every day.
Bro,
I had more viewers in the thing, and then he just started crushing. I was like, you better fucking host me after each of this shit.
Bro, shout out Hiko. He's always been a super nice guy.
Again, he's always consistent with his schedule. And
he was a player that eventually found himself similar to what we were talking about at the start with like Pitt and other people in CS that weren't getting a look in. And I think he was still streaming at the time. Then he sort of pivoted towards Valorant, and it didn't pop off straight away as soon as he started playing Valorant. But then within a couple months, like, do tell me if my timeline's wrong, but suddenly, bomb, now he's cracking like 15, 20K viewer streams all the time, man.
Yeah, every time.
Smashing
it was that first month of the beta where you had to watch to get a key. Like, even my numbers, I had like multiple 7, 8K, 9K days, and like, I actually thought about that. I was like, did it affect me much? Should I have went harder? Like, I kind of took it for granted. I was like, I was like doing my normal stream schedule. And I was like, in hindsight, because I thought about this the other day, I was trying to observing Spencer. There was like 2 other guys who bumped up to like 4 or 5K viewers fast. And I was like, I guess I should have probably went like double time on my hours right then. I was thinking about that the other day, a little personal, not that big of a deal, but that's kind of what happened is the new people came out, and it's like, Spencer, I watched his stream though, and I felt like he like really upped. He started working out, and I feel like he really upped his like interaction.
Bro, he gets.
He was.
I think Hiko gets up at like 8:30 and streams at like 9:30 or something, right?
He gets up at 8:30 and later streams at 9. He doesn't.
What a beast, man.
Yeah, he doesn't eat, or he eats like 1 meal a day or something because he was fasting. He would stream for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, work out, eat, sleep, repeat. for like a couple months straight. That was really it. Yeah, he fucking did a good job.
Yeah, do you still speak to Stewie as well? Because Stewie's like, I guess, your only
Yeah,
ex-teammate
he's been really focused right now with his strat calling.
he's your only ex-teammate that's like still a competitive CS player, right? Like of all the guys like Semphis, Hiko, Sean,
I mean,
Scar,
automatic.
Shroud. Okay, yeah, automatic, but I mean, Stewie came in like earlier on. You were kind of like a bit of a guiding force in Stewie's early days, is what I mean. Shout out Tim, by the way. Shout out automatic. I didn't mean to forget you. But I'm just trying to bring up, because I know that you had like that sort of relation with him at the start, trying to help guide him a bit.
Yeah, kind of like a big brother. He was like the skilled little brother who was a little shithead. We've always talked about that. He's always really but he's like he calls strat, like he fucking manned up for each of the teams. They asked him to call strats and do a bunch of extra work and everything. And he's most of his faults come from he just get overwhelmed and stressed and stuff. But we talk about it. I haven't talked to him in a bit about it, but like last year we were talking a lot about like some of the team issues and how to go about, like he wanted to be better at like resolving conflict and stuff. And so he's definitely grown a lot since the early team days.
What's it like for you these days with regards to how you identify yourself? Because for me, so maybe it will help if I describe you, how I see you in my head. So I see you as a full-time streamer, full-time content creator, but not someone that's quit competing in professional esports. I know that you can still turn it on if you need to, and we all know that you've had offers in different games like CS and Valorant, and that if you wanted to, there's probably a place in a high-paying club, team with decent players around you. And so that's how I see you in my head. How do you see yourself?
Yeah. I definitely think I'm like, it's not causing me too much stress, but there's definitely an internal pull different directions for me day to day. And like, it's something I like smile about normally when I think about, because it's like an honor to be able to even be pulled towards different opportunities, right? Like to have different opportunities makes me feel really good. But yeah, a little bit of a struggle sometimes. That's why I never announced retirement. I'm just kind of like an inactive player. And so that's where I'm kind of at, right? I never announced retirement. And some people are like, since you retired from CSGO, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
In my stream. But that's kind of where I'm at. And how I view myself other than that is, like, that's why, as you said, it's been fun playing golf and other things, but definitely in a little bit of a limbo of like, do I compete again? Because like, I, for one, believe you could hold on to being able to try to be a pro for a lot longer than a lot of people think. They're
Bro, absolutely, 23, man.
Right?
Absolutely.
You look at Forrest crushing it. I know it's really about your mind, right? If your mind is healthy enough to feel good about the grind, then you can get after it. But if you feel like you're just like scraping to get by, and unless your skill is insane, you're not going to make it. And so like, I could definitely join a pro team for CS right now, even though I haven't been playing it, and like get back into it pretty quick. Like I jumped into a deathmatch yesterday to play, or matchmake the other day to play, and like literally I like right when I joined the server, I haven't played in like 3 weeks, I just like flick like 2 bullets in with an AK. I'm like, oh, it just feels so natural. Like my aim definitely wasn't like super dialed in, but like my first shot was, and I was like, okay, like it always feels pretty comfy. But it's definitely like it's a mindset thing. It's age is, dude, people winning the Stanley Cup at age 42. Now I will say the difference when I compare like the sports analogies, because I've thought about it, I was like, you're playing soccer or ice hockey, you're just on the same rink the whole time and field. It's all different in Counter-Strike, as you know, right? Like for someone like Forrest, I give him props because you have to keep up to date with the new maps, the changes to weapons, the changes to meta.
But it's the same as sports in the sense that base level fundamentals that are trained to a high degree. I don't think a bit of fading reaction time, getting a bit older, it makes as much of a difference as people think. I think it's all to do with what you said about if you can stay dedicated, keep the schedule, and make sure you stay competitive, like Forrest has done, for instance. Like I know you could do. I think a lot of people would do. I think a lot of people are gonna do it now because the money is better. But like for my generation, a lot of people that were my peers, if they didn't like streaming or doing anything, a lot of them are just like, well, I don't want to play, so they just kind of fade into like something else, or like some players like GM roles or work for an org or et cetera, et cetera. I agree. I think a lot of the younger players that we see these days smashing it, like I think their best days, if they train the right way and keep the right mindset, their best days could be yet to come. I think, it's hard to draw parallels with athletic sports. But generally,
But there are parallels.
Yeah, but there are parallels, and generally with those, people are peaking in like their late 20s, early, tapering off in the mid 30s area. Do you know what I mean?
31 is like their prime or something.
Yeah, but then there are those standouts that can compete longer than that. And I do think, and I would like to see over time, more career longevity for players, and that the science to maybe back that up, or at least science that will help these people stay competitive so they don't feel like they've got 4 to 6 years in the game. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. It's something that, first of all, now that there's career sustainability, right? Like people like financially, that's a big part of like even visualizing yourself long term doing it. I think when you're younger and you're making like a couple grand a month, like this will be good until I actually like need to have a family and stuff. But now if you can be like, oh, I can make like a 6-figure income, now you're like, okay, now you don't really see an end date until like it doesn't become feasible anymore for you or your skill. So I think that alone is a big change. And then, yeah, people just like being aware, like, oh, I'm not getting that much worse, like, and holding on to that confidence. It's definitely going to change things. I'm excited to see kind of the next generation. I think that's why like we fight for like the CSPPA and all these things. Like they try to make like standards better so that like it's a little bit more healthy of an ecosystem. So people's like career life cycle or lifespan can be stretched out better and better for the fans, better for everyone.
It's funny because when we spoke last, when we did the first recording that messed up, we did speak about if you'd go back to competing, but it feels like now a month later there are more pulls in different directions with regards to competing again versus streaming. Am I right in thinking that, compared to a month ago, that right now maybe there's a bit more of a pull?
Well, no, I just like I have been thinking about it. Even in our last combo, I was thinking about like competing in Valorant, and so like I've had a couple people ask me about like my interests or like do I want to make a team, and I had another org reach out, and I was just like, I don't. Part of me like doesn't like I don't want to just play to play. Like I've thought about it, like a couple of these rosters. Like even when they were talking about 100 Thieves asked me to join, but at one point it was like Steel, Nitro, Hiko just now, and I was like, I wouldn't really even want to join that team because it would be like 4 boomers. We'd probably need at least a couple of those, you need a couple of those zoomers there, right?
Yeah.
And I think they did a good thing. They literally picked up 2 kids that I think are like together, their age is just a couple years older than like the other players.
Yeah.
They picked up like a 16 and 17-year-old. They have like 3 30-year-old, 2 30-year-olds and like a 26-year-old Nitro, 25 or whatever he is, 24. I don't think I think you definitely, as much as we talk about the longevity thing, you definitely want maybe some more moldable, younger kids that are just putting in super hours, and they're just, the difference with those kids is it's a little different of a player to bring in.
You're looking for less of majority boomers and more boomers with the zoomers.
Yeah, I would probably
you want to be the power boomer with 4 zoomers.
I wouldn't mind that.
Pick them up and take them to LAN.
I would like another boomer like strat caller or something, like someone with experience, and then like the 2 zoomers and 1, what's the other one, millennial? I don't even know. Like, is millennial's a zoomer, right? No, I'm a millennial, right, or whatever. Fuck.
So yeah, you'd I feel like you'd be really good in that sort of lineup as well. At this point in your career, and this point in your mentality, going by your most recent, it's a small sample size. If we look at your sample size, your career is a sample size, you've got all the credentials, but looking at your most recent big results with Mouse Sports, where you came into a team where, bro, like maybe you've met Chris J a few times at events and we've hung out, had a few drinks,
yeah, but
like essentially people that you don't know, and then you guys made it work, and you got into semis.
They gave me a lot of big compliments because they knew I was out of form a little. No, we finals. We should have fucking won the whole thing. Dude. Yeah, no, we went to the 5th map against FaZe.
Yeah.
No, and those guys gave me a lot of nice words, because they knew I was out of form, and I told them, I was like, "Yo, boys, let's fucking see what we can do here." And they were like, "Jordan, like we really they felt super comfortable. They really liked my comms, the energy," and I was like, that was a big confidence booster because I hadn't been at like a world stage in a bit, so it's nice.
Yeah. What I'm saying, though, is that if we use that as a small sample size for your ability to mesh and get involved in a team, and perhaps also, as you also mentioned before, when with that specific example of Mouse Sports, where maybe some people are getting a bit emotional and you help calm people down, yeah, you using all of those as a sample, like, yeah, you could, I think you'd be really, really good in a lineup where you are the leader, you've got people around you willing to follow, and you're the balancing force, of course, and you can still also frag out. I think you'd do great, mate, if you decide to do that.
Pretty alluring. Yeah.
Bro, I can't just straight up ask you like, oh yeah, who's asking you right now? I won't. But I'm assuming that there are things right now that are kind of like.
Even right now, there's not like a lot of offers because now everyone's sorting things out. And so when I say no to someone, it kind of moves quick. There was just another one recently, but yeah, it's kind of just like, it's more like looking at, like, it might actually not be a bad time to play is what I was thinking soon for Valorant Team, because if it gets crazy, it probably won't be for like a year at least, or a year and a half, right before like they really, the leagues and stuff really start getting going. But I don't know, man. It's just like life and like having a kid and just like being fulfilled. Like, I just don't want to get complacent. And like, I'm in a position where I don't feel complacent because I feel like I'm getting after it. Like, I'm filling my days up. Like, I'm trying to work with brands and I'm talking to companies a lot, and I stream and then I make some content and I do this, and I got a manager help me with this. And so I'm definitely getting after it, but I feel like.
Do you miss competing? Is that all it is?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like as compete, that's why I was like, even when I play golf, like it's fun just because I like literally like I'll try to bet my friends, you know, just like because I love. Yeah, I didn't realize when I was younger how much I like competing, because I was just, maybe I took it for granted because I played ice hockey and then went into Counter-Strike, but I was always kind of a kind of a lighthearted person that I assumed maybe I didn't care about competing as much as I liked being on a team. But then I was like, oh, I think I like it both, right? I like getting after it.
That's a very good point. That if you've spent most of your life competing, and then you take a break from it, you don't realize that at some point you realize, oh, wait a second, I actually really do like competing, and I kind of miss it when you take that break. For instance, for me, I've never competed at a level like you have in anything, but as a kid, I did martial arts, I competed. As a teenager, I did martial arts, I competed a small bit, but also you're being competitive in class. And then I injured my back, I couldn't do any of that stuff for ages. And then I started getting back into the gym and started doing martial arts like 2 years ago, or 2.5, 3 years ago with that stuff. And I forgot, like, oh man, I love it. I love it. And so now it's like, I put time aside to do it. Like, I want to be there. I want to train. I want to be competitive. And it's the same with, like, if, say, I don't play Valorant or CSGO for a week or so, when I hop back on, don't get me wrong, it can be stressful. I don't like losing, or like I might not enjoy myself fully, but I'm like, man, I want to win. I forget sometimes. I like playing these competitive. This is why I fell in love with CS in 2000.
Start trying to queue with the better players.
Yeah, this is why I fell in love with CS in 2004, because it's for me the best competitive shooter that there possibly can be, and that's why I love Valorant, because it's the same sort of thing. This is a brilliant competitive shooter, and yeah, I think what you said is true. If you are a competitive person and you take a break, you might not miss it at first, but then sometimes that little spark goes off in your head again. It's kind of me with YouTube as well. I took that break and I didn't have plans to come back. And
then the trade-off is you got more time with your girlfriend.
And I got to focus on my presenting and stuff. And I got to focus on my presenting, got into a relationship, etc. And I'm still going to do those things now. I'm still doing presenting well. I'm still, Rona aside, still in a relationship. But then that spark started going in my head where I was like, I want to make a schedule where I can do this again in a healthy way around my other work and other commitments. And yeah, that's similar in my head to the martial arts, what you're talking about with competing, and that maybe right now you're getting that feeling a bit more than in the last couple years where, oh, I actually want to compete again.
A little bit.
I don't want to put. I'm not trying to, bro. You know me. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm describing what I'm feeling
about it. Yeah, I'm just laughing. It's like the main trade-off is still what we talked about. It's like I said, like the hardest thing when I think about it is the practice schedule. Like the other night, I was having a great stream, and this is gonna be such a dad moment. It's great stream, and I saw literally, this is so fucking cheesy. Great stream, right? It was like 4 or 5 hours, like 5:30, 6 p.m. And I know the sun sets at 7. I wanted to go on a fucking walk through my neighborhood. It was so pretty out. I was like, I want to go for a walk. I was like, hey guys, I'm ending the stream. Ended the stream and I went for a walk. It just was so nice out. And that little like cheesy like thing for me to just be like, I'm ending the stream and going for a walk. I was like a little golden hour type thing, and I was like, oh, I want to
Bro,
go for a
that's
walk.
not cheesy, man. That's like you're like you're exercising the freedom that you've earned through your hard work. And so what you're saying is,
I want to keep working hard. But yeah, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, exactly. But what you're saying is that yeah, not that you wouldn't keep working hard, but if you were to become a professional player, you might lose some of those freedoms again.
I actually talked about this the other day. It just reminded me of something. My friend was talking about, we were talking about raising our kids with balance and stuff and how you want to do all this stuff. And I was like, one of the biggest things I learned from going pro is how much imbalance you need to be really good at something. And I think that's what I subconsciously feel, right? It's like I know when I go back into something, my life goes out of balance. And not necessarily in a way that hurts what I'm doing.
Bro, it's like I'm hearing myself talk to me.
And it's part of the thing. If you want to be a pro NFL player, you don't cry like, oh, I don't see friends because you're making all this money. You're doing the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a pro CS player. That's why I never was whining that I was a pro. I just quietly told myself, hey, I want to take time off. And that's the thing, is because I think I know subconsciously to be where I want to be at anything, it's pretty imbalanced.
You're gonna have to
people
go
don't
in.
Get it all my time.
I mean, you can build it in a way where it's more balanced than it was before, but nonetheless, you're gonna detract time from a lot of you're gonna detract time from a lot of other things.
But it's harder to be strategic when you're with a group.
Yeah,
if I was like a pro golfer
true.
Or something, which I'm not gonna be, but I like golfing. But
you never know when you're 50 or something.
Yeah, the senior tour, the Champions Tour, it's a thing. Those guys make a lot of money. Don't get me started, but no.
Bro, I came into your Tiger Woods stream, mate. I was loving it. I was sitting there chilling, like it was so good.
I'm all ready to go there, but yeah, those guys, it's an individual sport, but I like the team sports. But yeah, when you're on a team though, you can't just be like, let's end practice. I'm not really feeling it. Like unless everyone's on that wavelength. Like sometimes that would happen when we were on like a 4-month bender, and we didn't have a match for 4 nights. We'd just be like, guys, you want to just go get some food together as a team and not scrim tonight? And that would actually be very healthy for the team.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not. You can't always just be like, I want to go for that walk. You take 30 minutes breaks, which is nice. Like Astralis, they'd be like scrim, review, 30-minute break, hour scrim, hour break, 30-minute review, hour scrim. Like they had a nice little balance. But when you're in the peak and you're maintaining, you could definitely do that. It's just when you want to get there, you have to put in extra hours.
Well, let's see then, man. I mean, in terms of sentiment, I think if you want to be a pro player, again, you can do it, and you can still take your nice evening walk. We'll see.
That represents so much. The evening walk represents so much. Like,
bro, I think that's more than enough, man. There's nothing else that I've wanted to.
Yeah, you guys don't want to hear us talk anymore, do you? I'm pointing at them.
I'm excited to see what you choose to do next, man.
Likewise.
Very much so. And yeah, I miss you, mate. Hopefully we can see each other soon.
Let's just meet in like the middle for vacation. I'll have my little child. We'll meet in like the Caribbean or something.
Little child, as opposed to your big child. Like.
Yeah, exactly. He might be swole as fuck. You never know.
Guys, don't forget to check out Jordan on social media, like all the usual stuff, man. Twitter, Instagram, especially Twitch. He's live very regularly. When are you live, Jordan?
I just Monday through Friday. I normally do like 12 to 5 Pacific.
It's been a pleasure, man. I'm happy that we've finally done this. Even if there's anything fucked up with recording, I'm using it. This is it. I think everything's fine, though. We tried, we checked, did every technical test. And so, Jordan, thanks for being my first guest. I'm looking forward to knowing you for many more years to come, mate.
Likewise, man. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.